ever followed a difficult diet almost to the T, and yet you either weren't able to reach your goal or you reached it, but you couldn't keep the results? I'm going to share in today's video 3 other components than diet that you could be missing that might have set you up for failure from the beginning. These 4 factors make up the 4 foundations of wellness, which are essential for you to be able to successfully achieve your goal and sustainably keep the results. The 4 foundations of wellness are stress, sleep, movement, and nutrition. I'm going to walk you through each one of these 4 foundations so you can understand how they impact you and what to do with them. And then stick with me to the end, and I'm going to give you a really easy tip to be successfully able to implement all of these 4 foundations. The first foundation that we're talking about is stress. Stress is huge, and it's kind of the foundation that most people forget about. It's not sexy, it's not tangible, you can't really measure it, and so it's just easy to put it by the wayside and focus on the other ones. However, stress is probably the most important of these foundations. It impacts every one of the other foundations and everything in your body. It's so important because stress is something that is going to impact all of your cells. So even if you are eating the best diet and exercising and sleeping well, but you're stressed, your body can't really respond to the interventions, your lifestyle habits, or to even supplements and other things you might be doing with your doctor or on your own. So we have to address stress, but how do you actually do that? We can't always remove our stressors. And I don't like that idea of stress reduction or stress management. It's like, why do I need another thing to manage? Or, what if your stressors are your husband, your kids, your job? Like, you can't reduce those or eliminate them. So, if there are a few things that you can reduce from your schedule, then definitely do that. We want to make sure we have good boundaries. We want to make sure that we can say no to things, and that will help us to reduce a little bit of our stress load. But the main way that you address stress is through stress recovery. When we are overwhelmed and living this fast-paced, busy life, or we have just a lot of emotional stressors in our life, we can be stuck in fight or flight. Fight or flight is going to make everything in your body not work as well because it shuts down or reduces the function of your rest and digest part of your nervous system. Rest and digest, that's when we recover, that's when we digest. We've talked in the past videos about gut health and how important it is. You have more bacterial cells than human cells. So if we don't have good digestion, then everything else in your health isn't going to work well. And stress is one of the most important ways that we can protect our digestion, give ourselves good sleep, help our body be healthy. So how do we get out of that fight or flight and more into rest and digest? This is really the question you want to ask for helping your stress. And this will improve your resiliency to stress. A couple tips for you are to try to slow down. Create some white space in your day, time that you can be in the present moment. This could be mindfulness, meditation, stretching, yoga, playing with a pet, sitting outside, all kinds of different ways that you can do this. It doesn't have to just be one way. The one that has the most research is going to be mindfulness. There are studies showing that mindfulness can help autoimmune conditions, pain, sleep, and even weight loss. There was a study on mindfulness in those who were trying to lose weight where they did a 4-month mindfulness-based stress reduction program. Those who were doing the mindfulness-based program had lost abdominal fat, had better sleep, had less emotional eating, less overall calorie intake. Those who were not doing the program and were just being studied for 4 months actually gained weight during it. That's just a little example of how important stress is when you might not really have thought it would have played a role. The second foundation of wellness is sleep. Again, not one that is super sexy, super tangible, and can easily be forgotten, whatever your health goals are that you're working towards. And I would know firsthand because I have also struggled throughout my life with sleep. It used to be so bad. When I was a kid, I would stay up until about 3 a.m. My mom also really struggles with insomnia, and so after everyone had been put to sleep, I would get up and go watch the news with her and hang out with her until the wee hours of the morning. Fortunately, I've done a lot of work, of course, as a functional medicine practitioner on myself, and now I can fall asleep within 30 minutes instead of 3 hours. And I can stay asleep during the nights and fall back to sleep quickly. And so I'm going to give you some of my tools of how I did that. But before I go into that, I just wanted to explain that you might be thinking you're getting enough sleep and you're actually not. In addition to the 8 hours being important, or that 7 to 9 hour range, we also have to think about the quality of our sleep. When we go to sleep matters. If you are not optimizing the 10 p.m. to 2 a.m. windows, you might not really be getting the quality sleep that you need, which implies basically you're not getting the deep and the REM sleep that you need. We have light sleep, but we also have deep sleep in which our body physically recovers so that we're not having pain or fatigue or illness. And then we have REM sleep in which our brain recovers. So we can have good functioning thoughts, cognitive clarity, we don't have brain fog, we can remember things, we can concentrate. Without those two components to your sleep, you might be getting 8 hours, but you're still going to wake up tired and you're still going to feel tired and you're not going to function at your fullest the next day. A real world example of the importance of sleep is a study on weight loss, since we're kind of following that theme here. And in this study, they did a typical person's work week where they had them restrict their sleep for 5 days and then get as much sleep as they wanted for 2 days. They followed them for 2 weeks, and the people who had their restricted sleep gained 2 pounds during those 2 weeks. And then on the days where they were able to get as much sleep as they wanted, they actually lost a little bit of weight. Seeing this, the researchers said, what if we severely restricted their sleep? So they had them do a work week with only 4 hours of sleep during those 5 days. And they gained 2 pounds in that 1 week and naturally ate 30% more calories due to their sleep restriction. So you can see why sleep is so important for your health. How can we get more of it? Like I mentioned earlier, make sure that you're trying to get to sleep by about 10 p.m. The more time before midnight, the better, and the better quality sleep that you're gonna have. You can also try to finish eating at least 3 hours before you go to sleep. 2 hours is the minimum. That will help to make sure you get into that deeper state of sleep and you're not still digesting when you're trying to be asleep. The biggest one though is your light. You wanna be having only a dark environment around you after the sun goes down. When you are exposed to the bright lights like I currently am being right now, it is going to prevent you from getting not only the hours of sleep, but also the quality of sleep that you need. The third foundation of weight loss is movement, which involves physical activity and exercise. You might be more familiar with this one, but there might be 2 things I'm going to talk about that you're not as familiar with. The first thing is that not all forms of movement are actually exercise, and it's really the exercise that gives you the most health benefits. Physical activity is when you're moving around, cleaning the house, going on walks, but exercise is when you're getting your heart rate up high, and that has its own completely different set of benefits. Whether you're looking for weight loss, improved brain function, better gut health, bone health, muscle, all of that's really going to come from exercise. So we know exercise is getting your heart rate up, but you might not realize that there's a certain way to get your heart rate up that's going to be more beneficial. And that is doing high intensity interval training instead of steady state training. That looks like where you are working really hard at almost max capacity for a short period of time, 30 seconds to 1 minute, and then recovering, versus where you're doing like the same level of effort for the entire 30 or 60-minute workout. Studies show that the higher intensity not only makes you way more fit much faster, but also has a lot more benefits on your blood sugar and your muscle and your body fat and a whole bunch of other stuff. So if you have just been getting on a treadmill or lifting some weights and not getting up to about your max capacity of effort, then you're probably leaving some of the benefits of exercise on the table. Continuing on with our weight loss example of how much exercise can impact us, one study showed that those who were exercising over the course of a year of their calorie-restricted diet lost 20% more weight than those who were following the same diet but weren't exercising. And then a year after the study ended, they checked back in, And those who were continuing to exercise were able to maintain the weight loss, whereas those who weren't exercising had put it back on. Another study showed that a year after the diet was completed, those who were exercising were able to maintain double the amount of weight loss. To get these benefits, all you really need to do is 5 days per week, at least 30 minutes. 2 rest days per week are totally fine, and it does not need to be super lengthy. 30 minutes will do it. The fourth and final foundation of wellness is nutrition. You probably know a little bit more about this because it's the one that most of us think of to go to change in order to reach our goals. So I'll be brief. Some things you might not think about with nutrition, meaning what type of diet you're following, is that it does need to be customized to you. Our stress, our thyroid, our activity levels, our genetics, all kinds of things can impact how our body responds to the food that we're putting in. If your diet is not matching your body and your conditions and issues very well, then you might not be getting the benefits that someone else following the same diet is, which doesn't feel very fair for all the effort you're putting in. We want to make sure that that diet is customized to you. We also want to make sure that we're not just counting calories or counting carbohydrates, but we're looking at the quality of your diet. That means that it's anti-inflammatory, that it is feeding your good gut bacteria, and that it's low glycemic. I could talk for hours about what that actually looks like to eat a diet like this, but suffice it to say that you just want to be looking at more than your calories and carbohydrates. Now you know what the 4 foundations of wellness are and what may have been missing from your plan to reach your health goals. I promised you in the beginning of the video that I would give you a tip for how to implement all of these. We tend to take about 3 months with our patients to help them to implement it, but I'm gonna give you a quick tip right now that could make a huge difference for you. And that is to schedule it. Just like it's a meeting, just like it's part of work or picking up your kids, I want you to sit down on a Saturday or Sunday and write out what your week is going to look like, starting with what time you're gonna wake up, what you're gonna do in your morning routine. Right, is that when you're going to get your mindfulness in or your physical activity and go on a walk? When you're going to eat your 3 meals, what you're planning to eat for those meals, when you're going to get your exercise in, and then what time you're going to start getting ready for bed and what time you're going to go to sleep. Of course, you're not going to actually follow this plan to the T every single week. If you follow it 80%, then you'll be doing amazing and you're going to notice huge changes in your health. One last thing is that if you're interested in the studies and the research like I am, a lot of the studies I gave in today's video comes from a blog post that I wrote on the non-nutrition related components of weight loss. So look in the caption below the video to check that out. Thank you for being here with me today. Please like, subscribe, and hit that little notifications bell down below so that you can hang out with me more in the future, and I'll talk to you soon.